if you're the governor, the people of Minnesota are your highest priority, even if it's the federal government trying to duke it out with them, even if it's the federal government trying to wage war on them. You have to defend those people. And if you don't do anything and if you stand idly by and allow the federal government to roll over, okay, and you just expect the people to defend themselves alone, that kind of decentralized movement eventually is going to lead to more chaos. When people realize that there's no one out there that will defend them, they will take matters into their own hands. And I've said this over and over again. I worry about that reality. In any case, let's get back to the situation on hand. So they did these like dueling protests, if you can even call it that. I mean, this was the amount of people that this dipshit was able to bring together. But on the other side, we have the Department of Justice also once again doing the damn thing under Trump's regime. In spite of the lackluster reaction from Minnesota's governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis's mayor, Jacob Frey, the government is still coming after them for obstruction charges. Let's fucking go, baby.
On our Saturday
I gotta
session.
pee.
All that and so much more is just ahead. But we begin with this morning's top story, an escalation in the immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. CBS News was the first to report the Justice Department has launched an investigation of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. The investigation centers on an alleged conspiracy by the two Democratic leaders to impede federal immigration agents to impede their work. It comes as protests have intensified after the fatal shooting last week of Renee Good by an ICE agent. Nearly 3,000 federal immigration agents have been dispatched to Minneapolis to arrest people who are in the United States illegally. Ian Lee is in Minneapolis. Ian, good morning.
Good morning, Adriana. CBS News has learned this investigation focuses on whether Walz or Frey have impeded federal immigration action through public statements they've made.
Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live.
In a statewide address Wednesday night, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz criticized the federal immigration crackdown in Minneapolis.
And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record.
On Friday, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey called the operation an invasion.
What we're seeing on our streets is unnecessary abuses of force.
Now both Democrats are under federal investigation. Multiple sources familiar with the matter tell CBS News the probe stems from statements Walz and Frey have made about the immigration action. In response, both men took to social media, with Walz posting, "Weaponizing the justice system against your opponent is an authoritarian tactic," and Frey writing, "I will not be."
God, they're such pussies, bro. I swear to God. Like, I mean, I don't even know what you do in this situation, but it's just like, it just like, it makes me so mad. I wish we had some real ass fighters out here, dude. Like Tim Walz's little, Christmas postcard that he sent to Donald Trump last week was so cowardly. Like, it was so like, come on, man to man, let's stop this. Let's hug and kiss it out. Like, ugh. Like, you're a governor, man. You're basically the president of your state. Like, what are we doing? Do something. I don't know. Also, yeah, I love when people go, don't say these guys are Nazis. When bovine Greg Bovino at 5'4" is always LARPing as a Nazi. Like, he loves looking like a Nazi commander, okay? It's just, everything sucks. Everything sucks so bad.
Intimidated. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche appeared to hint at the investigation.
My mom hasn't understood for years why I said the Dems aren't doing shit, but Tim Walz's response made her finally understand what I've been saying. Yeah. Yo, not even trying to put you on the spot, but deadass, what would you do? I would shit up. I would 100% try to deploy the National Guard, okay? I would deploy the National Guard to protect the citizens of Minnesota and specifically Minneapolis. And I would direct law enforcement at the state level, especially, or even law enforcement at the local level, to make ICE agents' lives a living hell because they're consistently violating the laws, right? They're violating traffic laws. They're harassing local businesses and shit like that. I would tell every Minnesotan, okay, that you can make a call to a police officer if an ICE agent is trying to get into your place of business and harassing you and frustrating you, and we will ensure that members of law enforcement will be there in less than 5 minutes to trespass them, okay? If you tell your population that you have their back and that you will use the local law enforcement to actually trespass people, cops will have to follow through on that. It doesn't matter what the FOP says, right? Because the Fraternal Order of Police in Minneapolis has said, or in the state of Minnesota has said that they back ICE law enforcement operations 100%. But that's not the actual mandate, okay? If the governor and the mayor is telling the public, we have your side, our cops will actually side with you. We will use the power that we have as local and state office to make ICE activities as difficult as possible in the state, then they will have too hard of a time. Make them waste money. Restrict their freedom of movement. Do everything you possibly can through the legal avenues and also through the power that you command over your own state. Basically force cops to disobey openly if cross that bridge. No, I'm not even talking about that. You have legal means of making it a lot more difficult for ICE to operate in your state. Okay? If you noticed, I said if ICE agents are coming to your business, you can, as a business owner, say, "I'm sorry, I don't want to serve you." Right? And when ICE agents say, "F off, I'm an ICE agent, I will be served here," you can call the cops. The cops can trespass you. That is legal. That's totally valid. It's totally legal, right? This is a way to coordinate with the population to make things as difficult as possible for these federal agents to operate in your neighborhoods. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They lack the imagination and the political will, even though the population is demanding it. Okay? You're overestimating the power politicians have over the police. You're wrong. You're wrong. Because let's say 30% of cops are not going to do that. They're going to say, nah, these guys are just basically cops as well. I don't want to do that. 70% of cops are still going to follow the orders. Many of them have neighbors. Many of them have family members that are working at these restaurants. Many of them have already heard the discontent from their friends and family members as well. You're thinking that all cops are basically, operating in the same like Gestapo mindset, and plenty are, right? Plenty are doing that. Fry said it's not possible and it's illegal. I don't believe that. Made. Mayor of Minneapolis Jacob Frey questions Somalia candidate Omar Fateh if he would stand by arresting federal officers who are trying to enforce immigration laws. Omar Fateh stands by his plan to arrest federal officers and will even arrest ICE for wearing a mask. Jacob Frey said, no, that's illegal and it's not possible. It's bullshit. Omar Fateh was right. You can do that.
To direct Minneapolis police to arrest federal agents. That would be dangerous. That would be irresponsible.
Why? This was before all this shit happened, by the way, just so you understand. This was before all this shit happened. This is all the way in October 27th, 2025.
Responsible. And my simple question is, how would our police officers do that? How would our police officers arrest federal agents when, simply put, they have much bigger guns and it would be illegal?
And that's part of it.
But we should actually dig in on the answer to this question, because this gets to the crux of the issues that we actually deal with. You committed to arresting federal agents. My simple question is how?
Yeah, well, if there's any federal agent that has a mask on, that should not be allowed in our city.
I agree with that, but how? How do you arrest them?
Well, we can work with our state partners, we can work with our Attorney General, we can work with it cross-jurisdictionally, we can work as a city.
But specifically, how would you...
What do you mean? Enforce a mask mandate for public servants. If you're a public servant at the federal level or at the local level, you are not allowed to wear a mask anymore while you are engaging in operations. That is a perfectly valid local ordinance that you could push through and then demand the cops follow through on. Maybe not all of them are going to follow through on it, but you absolutely could push a local ordinance such as that one or a statewide ordinance such as that one, and then force the ICE agents to follow through on that mandate. What are we doing? What are we doing? I hate the question how, okay? I hate the question how. The only reason why people like Frey say, how would we do this, is because they don't want to do it, okay? They don't want to do it. At Governor Walz's direction, an hour ago, this is the Minnesota Department of Public Safety says, at Governor Walz's direction, Minnesota National Guard have been mobilized and are staging to support local law enforcement and emergency management agencies. They are not deployed to city streets at this time, but are ready to help support public safety, including protection of life, preserving of property, and supporting the rights of all those who assemble peacefully. So they're not even doing this like unconditionally, we will help the Minnesotans here against ICE incursions, which is what Walz should say. And before people say, well, don't you think that would invoke a constitutional crisis? Yes, it would. That's the point. Okay? The point is it should push the federal government so that they can stand down. Because at that point, if the Democrats actually start doing things like this and openly state that they're doing things like this, then you have the federal government, sitting around and saying, hey, what do we do here? Do we just continue pushing? Do we actually lean into the constitutional crisis? Do we actually create an even bigger problem? Will we be able to deal with this much larger problem? Because there's a million different things that you are worried about if you are, running the White House. I know Trump has this like careless attitude in the way that he manages the country, manages the global economy, all this shit. But like ultimately, these are things that he has to fucking worry about. When he says, I'm going to invoke the Insurrection Act, he's just saying that as a posture, right? As this like militant posture. But like, it's not so easy to just like invoke the Insurrection Act and then follow through on it. It might ultimately not be possible for the National Guard to be fully involved because Trump could federalize it and take the command away from the state, but the local PDs could absolutely order their officers to form human walls between ICE and protesters. Yes, they should be doing both. You're not seeing the whole picture. What are you going to do when ICE has 3 times as many agents as the cops? There's no support from state police. They sided with ICE. I think Walz did not deploy the National Guard because he knows they're siding with ICE. If the cops or guard refuse to get to deputize locals, that too. Force a judge to rule against arresting ICE goons when they've broken the law, right? No, they already have. They already have the court side working on this. But my point is, you got to gum up the works, okay? Even if it's going to be fruitless at the end of the day, you have to try your very best to gum up the works to at least instill confidence in your governance that you have your citizens' interests in mind, okay? That's your top priority. If you're the governor, your constituents are the most important thing. The people of Minnesota are your highest priority. The protection of the people of Minnesota are the highest priority, even if it's the federal government trying to duke it out with them. Even if it's the federal government trying to wage war on them, you have to defend those people, okay? And if you don't do anything and if you stand idly by and allow the federal government to roll over and do whatever the they want, okay, and you just expect the people to defend themselves alone, that kind of decentralized movement eventually is going to lead to more chaos. When people realize that there's no one out there that will defend them, they will take matters into their own hands. And I've said this over and over again. I worry about that reality. And that reality is here already because our politicians have left us behind. They are too cowardly to do anything.
Earlier this week with a post saying, Walz and Frey, I'm focused on stopping you from your terrorism by whatever means necessary. This is not a threat, it's a promise.
Open presents, thank you for the 100 gifted subs.
Protests have increasingly turned violent since the killing of Renee Good by an ICE agent.
When the fuck have the people been the priority in the states or Western countries in general? Guys, I know, okay, it's not. The National Guard has never gassed U.S. citizens, you delusional clown. The National Guard has literally killed U.S. citizens. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like shot them and killed them.
Earlier this month, law enforcement breaking up crowds with tear gas and pepper balls, putting some Minnesota residents on edge.
People refusing to come out the house.
The chairman of Minnesota's Republican Party, Alex Plekish, is criticizing Walz and Frey's handling of the situation.
in the past where the governor or the mayor have said that they support law enforcement in the performance of their duties, but they don't seem to be enforcing law enforcement when the feds come in and do it. I think it's ironic and hypocritical.
But he's also concerned about reports American citizens have been rounded up by ICE.
I feel for the people that feel fearful that are legitimate citizens. That's not right. If they have fears like that and they're legitimate, they're here legitimately, they shouldn't be made to fear. But if they're feeling that, then we should do something about that.
Yeah? Like what, bitch? The f do you mean?
Last night, a federal judge issued...
Oh, well, their fears are legitimate, don't you know? The fears are legitimate, don't you know? And if they have the fears, then they should be feeling the fears, but they shouldn't be feeling the fears, don't you know? F off, dude. On the one hand, he's like, Tim Walz and Frey are honestly doing nothing, but even when they're doing nothing, just being Democrats, that's still a bridge too far for this asshole. But then also it's like, we see you, we hear you, but there's not really much we can do. You just have to comply or die. Okay.
Ruling blocking immigration agents deployed in Minnesota from arresting or using tear gas, pepper spray, or other non-lethal munitions against peaceful protesters.
Yeah, so the court injunction came in, right, to put a pause on ICE activities. Not sure how much they're going to follow through on that, but now that that exists, you have another mechanism of law enforcement. You put cops and the National Guard everywhere, okay? You make them form a meat shield around the protesters. If and only if ICE agents still try to do some shit, still try to do like illegal arrests, illegal apprehensions, illegal detainments on regular ass Minnesotan civilians and citizens for what they consider to be a crime, then you arrest them. It's that simple. It's that simple. That's it. Because the courts are already on the side of the protesters. You can't just go in. You cannot just go in and start detaining people willy-nilly. They already didn't have this power, by the way. ICE does not have the legal authority to randomly detain American citizens. They are a immigration law enforcement apparatus. Okay? It's that simple.
Shame! 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 Shame!
Brutal cold driving winds.
You're also, this is funny. Yeah. Why are liberals freaking out about this? Don't they love process? This is literally their thing. Exactly. This is why it's very fraudulent when a lot of liberals on the internet will say, Hasan, your ideas are so radical. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. I spent a good deal of time talking about process, about how liberals could utilize process to gum up the works, could utilize the existing, could utilize lawfare to make things more difficult for these people, okay? The problem that I have with liberals by and large, like Democratic Party operatives by and large, is that they don't even want to do that because they don't have the will. That's what's so frustrating about it, because most people just, I guess, encounter me on the internet in 30-second clipped increments, and that's it. They just make up their minds off of that. And they think I'm just like a naysayer that's constantly complaining about the Democrats over and over again. Yeah, bitch, I'm complaining about the Democrats because they're not doing anything when they should be doing things. It's that simple. Here, I'll give you an example of this. This is something that took place last night because I had the time and, you know, I was willing to entertain it, right? This person, Soy Pill, says, initially, or this basket case guy says, Hasan also refused to endorse the candidate that would have prevented all of this, so I'm not sure why he thinks he has much of a moral high ground here. I said, Liv's trying to do this in 2026 can't be serious. I warned the Dems in person at the DNC about the dangers of letting anti-immigrant rhetoric go unchecked. They got cold feet when they saw a couple mass deportation polls and totally conceded to the right. Now here we are. This guy comes in and says, why are people bringing up my election takes 1 year after the election, which led to the current administration? Can you imagine the audacity if they bring it up next year too, or God forbid, up to 4 years after that election? To which I responded with, very funny not to acknowledge the problems with the campaign, same as the harm reduction narrative failure as an election strategy. Luckily, most voters aren't as stupid as you. One day we'll defeat the GOP and you'll act like you were there all along, just like y'all did with Zoran. Okay? Zoran is one of the best examples of this because, like, I work with the Democrats, right? I don't shy away from working with the Democrats, but these people act as though I don't ever work with the Democrats at all. They make it seem as though my arguments are actually silly, right? They make it seem as though I'm not coming at this from a morally consistent position because I see the danger ahead and consistently warn against said danger becoming reality. And then when that reality happens, they go, whoa, how do we get here? Well, it must have been because harm reduction narratives should have worked, but it didn't work. And they should have worked because you're stupid. The voters are stupid. That's the only argument that they have. So then he responds with, I have fully acknowledged the problems of the Democrats in the past and blame them for not picking the right messaging. But this has nothing to do with you failing to mobilize your vast audience to help stop Trump. It's obviously not primarily your fault, but I think you should have done more, and you should next time if some centrist wins the primary. Also, next time, please don't draw false equivalencies between fascists and Democrats who aren't good enough. I said, you fundamentally misunderstand everything I've done for the last decade of my career and are capable of only thinking in terms of 30-second clips if this is your summation of my work. My criticism of Dems on policy and politics is about their concessions to fascist messaging. Maybe I could be misled from people who hate you. I'm not implying you could have won Dems the election, but you could show me something akin to you. One, telling your audience to vote for Kamala Harris to stop Trump. And two, phone banking or door knocking in swing states. I think your audience is the bare minimum people should do to help win. I'll be doing this in the midterms this year and would gladly support an initiative you start with my audience and money. He still doesn't get it. Okay? It's always just do more, forehead, because, and I experienced this, it's never enough. It's never enough for these guys, okay? It's just shut the fuck up and vote for the Democrats. It's never, don't ever offer any valid and viable criticism as to why the Democrats are probably going to lose the election once again, because if they do, then it's your fault. It's never the campaign's fault. It's never the campaign's fault, okay? This is what's so frustrating about this argument. This guy is basically doing holy Reddit brain rot. Yeah, he's doing the vote blue no matter who, and it's not even an election right now, okay? It's blue MAGA arguments over and over again. Why are you defending the mediocrity of the Democrats that have constantly lost elections to the Republicans over and over again? I don't understand it. I don't understand why you reflexively defend the Democrats no matter what. It is very frustrating because that reflexive defense of the party is precisely the reason why the party can put forward bad candidacies and bad campaigns in general over and over and over again and then lose to the fascists. And then when they lose to the fascists, they turn around and go, you know what? The people didn't actually vote hard enough. It was always the people that was at fault. Bitch, your job, you got billions of dollars. Your job is to make sure that the people think you're a better choice. You failed on that. You failed on that for a litany of different issues. Mamdani is actually smart, so there's 0% chance that Hasan doesn't turn on him. That's awesome. I mean, Hutch is professionally wrong all the time, even though he does it for free. So it's even more pathetic. But the reason why I'm bringing this up over and over again is because these guys literally have to create fan fiction with the Democrats that I do work with, right? People that I have actively tried to get elected. It's never enough. And I'll give you the best example of why this is never enough. 2016, I was a major Bernie booster, okay? Big time Bernie bro, right? And then when Hillary Clinton won, I sucked it the up and I said, you got to go out and you got to vote for Hillary Clinton because Donald Trump presents a tremendous problem for the American future, right? And I was right. These guys still yelled at the Bernie bros, though, including myself, because they moved the goalposts and they said Bernie presented too strong of an opposition in the primaries that ruined Hillary Clinton's brand. Then they said, you didn't fight hard enough for Hillary Clinton, even though Bernie Sanders did more for Hillary Clinton than Hillary Clinton did for herself. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. Was Hutch even pro-Zoran? No, none of these were pro-Zoran until Zoran actually reached a level of popularity that made it so that it was obvious that he was going to win. These people also don't return the favor. See how they reacted by propping up Cuomo against Mamdani? Exactly. Here I am, okay, on August 7th, 2024, talking about the flaws in the Democratic Party's messaging around the issue of immigration, okay?
Explain this part to me, though, because Kamala touted that right-wing immigration bill in Atlanta last week, too. Like, why is it that that seems to be the point that both parties can agree on? I mean, the stuff with the deportation, it's a bit crazy.
A bit crazy. I mean, it's very.
Best thing Hasan can do to help Mamdani execute on his agenda is stay the f*** away from him, lol. It appears it didn't really affect him negatively in any way, but go off, King. Yeah. No, thanks, Hutch. No, you were there all along, buddy. You're right. Hutch was bitching about Mamdani's favorability numbers in August. No cheating. Don't look it up. If you guys had to guess what Mamdani's public approval ratings are nationally in the state of New York, not New York City specifically, where do you think he lands? Professionally wrong. Professionally wrong. Okay? Don't listen to these dipshits. I mean, I don't even need to say this because no one actually listens to these dipshits, right? Yeah, it all stems back to this clip. Your words, not mine. When I'm talking about Kamala Harris's policies on Israel, which is identical to which is identical on the issue of Israel, is identical to the Trump administration. It was a part of the reason why she lost. I honestly didn't know that Zoran was part of Uncommitted. That slightly complicates things. Personally, would still adhere to the principle, but I get why folks are salty about it on the spot. You just shaded Mamdani for condemning Hamas, you dumb bitch, lol. He also boosted Mamdani when he was polling single digits while you were crying months later that he was part of the Uncommitted movement. Hutch, I can have reasonable disagreements with people that I communicate with and correspond with on a daily basis privately and even sometimes publicly, okay? It's a normal and healthy attitude to have towards your representatives and towards the politicians that are supposed to represent your interests. I know this is a foreign concept for you because you only have one speed, which is just eating the dick of the Democratic Party over and over again, even when they actually steer this goddamn country into a devastating direction by consistently losing to the Republicans over and over again, no matter how bad they are. But it's fine. It's fine to have some disagreements with your politicians, even if you know them personally. Why does Hutch hate you so much if you talk to him? He eats Destiny's dick on a daily basis, and Destiny's only driving motivator is how much he despises me. So even if he actually has an interest in like shitting on the Republicans, which he does, Destiny to his credit still despises Donald Trump and maybe even most of the Republican Party as well, and Elon Musk too. He still hates me more than all of those other people combined. So that's why they don't have any sort of like decipherable real political opinions, or it comes across like they have no real consistent position on anything other than Hasan. Hasan is the biggest issue. Destiny has quite literally said that I'm worse than Adolf Hitler for American politics, that he would rather vote for Adolf Hitler over voting for me. If I was running for office, there was like a couple months prior when the Zoran stuff was heating up, there was a real debate in that side of the liberal content creator sphere where they were sincerely talking about how I would be worse for America than Adolf Hitler. These people have said that I'm worse than Candace Owens. They've said that I'm worse than Nick Fuentes. That's it. You only arrive at that unserious position if you are utterly devoid of serious analysis, and the only thing that guides you never got the LSF boost because he's too boring for Redditors, Sag. Yeah, you only arrive at that position sincerely if you're just a insane person who is motivated purely by spite. Spite and nothing else. Ben Netanyahu 2025. You are the most hateful live streamer on the platform. The only viewers you get are bigots. Benjamin Netanyahu 2025. Out of all the usernames you could have chosen, you basically went with modern Adolf Hitler. Respect. Yes, I love being considered hateful to people like you. Okay? Straight up. I welcome your hatred. I welcome your hatred. Says you, I welcome your hatred. Give me all of your enmity. Give me all of your hatred. Okay? You are my enemy. If you're a fascist, you're my enemy. You can run around and talk about how much you despise me every day. I welcome it. Okay? I'm being bigoted to Benjamin Netanyahu. Hutch on kids in Gaza.
Dead kids. That's not like a great thing to think about or to see images of. Not a good thing to happen. But what this author said in this paragraph here is it's completely uncontroversial.
It is possible to kill children legally. That's what Hutch said. Hutch is working on his Reddit mod hair. No, he at least finally gave up on it and now went full bald, I think. These are my haters, man. These are the guys who are still trying to latch on and pull down the stupid ass liberals in the establishment side of the Democratic Party. They speak to an audience of no one, and I don't even know why they still do this dumb shit. Okay? If you're smart enough, you should not entertain these guys at all. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Logs, please. Genuine question. Here we go. Hasanabi. But wouldn't that compel the federal government to issue an Insurrection Act and cause a civil war between the U.S. Army and National Guard of that state? Logs, genuine question. Yes, it would. Which is why you have to posture against the federal government. Because if you don't do that, they're going to roll over anyway. Okay? If you don't do that, they're going to roll over and do whatever the fuck they want regardless. But at least this time you're calling their bluff. Okay? Because not doing anything has only given this government more confidence to continue doing exactly what they want to do. You have to play every card at your disposal. You have to exhaust every other limited option that you have.
For every do-nothing Democrat out there, Jacob Frey, Tim Walz, Sorta AOC, anybody who's silent, voting for funding right now, we will die in the streets before we give you votes for midterms if you keep saying nothing besides mean tweets. It's time for action. Push people to strike. Pass the moratorium. People are struggling. They're not leaving their homes, and they can't get evicted because ICE will scoop them up. Start standing for something. You stood down, and now you have charges on your head, and you haven't declared an emergency. They're coming for you.
It is core to the American psyche that they will care more about what will happen in resistance and the horrors already happening due to lack of action. I know. It's frustrating. Sorry, I was tweeting. Stop tweeting. You're on stream. I know I was. I cracked the joke. I had to do one of them. I know it's jokes are reactionary. Jokes are counter-revolutionary. Jokes are bourgeois decadence. And I did one of them. Okay. I apologize to absolutely no one. I wanted to do it. They dragged the Nazi Jake Lang out of the building in Minneapolis. I said, this is anti-Semitism, but y'all are not ready for that conversation, sweaty. End joke.
But the protests continue in Minneapolis.
It's time to move back.
Protesters gathering outside the federal building Friday. ABC News cameras there as federal officials moved in.
So what we're seeing here is a couple dozen officers that have come out of the federal building there in riot gear.
No, I meant to put sweaty on purpose. I said sweaty on purpose.
Pushing the protesters that have been out front of the building all day long back onto the sidewalk. They have threatened people with arrest if they don't comply.
Several protesters eventually arrested. Officers seen here in this video chasing a protester down in a nearby field.
This man claimed he was a protester. Protesters thought he was a part of Jake Lang's crew. DHS came by and scooped him up. Oh, thank God. They're protecting their own, you know? Protect and serve, baby. Protecting the troops. Don't know why they left with the door wide open.
We know. I was with him earlier. Why?
They chased the dude for blocks and he ran.
He's one of us. He's one of us. Okay, good. I'm one of them. You know what I do? Is he? He's one of us. I don't know. How we know? I was with him earlier. Why he get ran out earlier? I don't know, but he's one of us. I'm with them. Okay. Trust me. He's been here this entire. He's been with us the whole time. For the past hour. All right, man. Hey, move back.
Extracting the asset. We've tactically ascertained an asset, and we're extracting him.
Hey, you black in your eyes, pussy! He's black!
Oh my God. Ain't no way. So he was a plant and the feds took him out. Because if he was actually a protester, like legit protester, the Department of Homeland Security would have been beating his ass, right? Also, they wouldn't have actually come in to beat his ass if he was an actual protester and other people were like pushing him out of the crowd. And he just strolled into that Nazi van. Look at that. No handcuffs, no zip ties.
That nigga black. How you black in your eyes, pussy? He black. He jumping out. Mini man. What happened? That's a black ice agent. You ain't waiting to see your papers.
Damn, they did exfil, dude. Oh my God.
Hey, let me see your papers, you black motherfucker.
Okay, chill. This makes me think the flag burner was one of these guys and was waiting for his pickup. Like if he's a protester and there's like a squabble, right? There's like a little fight amongst the protesters. DHS is not going to come in and do an exfiltration, right? Yeah, it's a black person saying it. Don't chill. Okay, I don't know. I don't check the Fed shoes. I mean, there's a lot of people that are wearing Fed ass shoes in Minnesota. Everyone's gonna be wearing boots. But I think the real indication that this man who claimed he was a protester and it turns out he wasn't is the fact that the Department of Homeland Security came in with their Gestapo goons and exfiltrated him. So.
And as ICE continues to expand what they call Operation Metro Surge, multiple sources tell ABC News Mayor Jacob Frey and Governor Tim Walz now under federal investigation for obstructing law enforcement activity. Walz responding, saying, weaponizing the justice system and threatening political opponents is a dangerous authoritarian tactic. The only person not being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. And this morning, new information about the shooting of Renee Good. The first emergency calls coming at 9:38 a.m. One telling dispatchers, there's 15 ICE agents and they shot her, because she wouldn't open her car door.
Can I go check a pulse? No! Back up! Now! I'm a physician!
Hey, listen, we understand. We got EMS coming.
Paramedics arrived at 9:42 a.m., reporting Good had 2 gunshots to the right chest, 1 gunshot to the left forearm, and an additional wound on the left side of her head, which the report called a possible gunshot wound. Controversy over that shooting not slowing down ICE operations. DHS saying some 2,500 arrests have been made since the operation began, including outside the Minneapolis metro area. Multiple witnesses tell ABC News federal agents ate lunch in a Mexican restaurant in Wilmar, nearly 100 miles outside Minneapolis Thursday, then followed the staff after closing time. This video obtained by ABC News showing officers arresting 3 of them. Now, President Trump had threatened to use the Insurrection Act, which would have allowed him to deploy the U.S. military to the streets here in Minneapolis, but he has walked that back since then, saying, at least for now, Rhiannon, he does not think it's necessary.
All right, Matt Rivers there for us in Minneapolis. Thank you.
Not allowed. This is private property.
CBP agent tells U.S. citizen to show him his paperwork because of his accent. This one is doing numbers on TikTok already.
Why are you asking me for my paperwork?
Because of your accent.
I still... You have an accent too.
I'm sorry, it's disgusting, but you can't. Like, really, bro? Says you. You said you have an accent. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You are literally doing a bodies in spaces in this moment. You know that you can have an accent and not be undocumented. What is wrong with you?
Where were you born, sir?
Where were you born at?
Put your hands behind your back.
Ramon Monero was detained by U.S. Border Patrol agents outside his home in a Minneapolis suburb after an agent questioned whether he was a citizen because of his accent.
I'm from this country.
You know what, sir? Now talking to you, hearing that you have an accent, I have reason to believe that you are not born of this country.
So you just made an
accent? What country are you from?
He should have done a Uno reversal and been like, I'm putting you under arrest. You are an illegal. The other ICE agents, they go, wait a minute, he's right. That does have an accent. They start fighting amongst themselves. They're like, and then the other guy is like, the other guy's name is like Juan Carlito as well. So then the third ICE agent's like, wait a minute, you have an accent. You have an accent too. And then the other guy starts beating on the other guy. And then the third guy realizes the third guy has an accent too. The fourth guy comes in and starts beating on the third guy. It's an endless cycle.
According to Monero, agents took a photo of him and searched a system. indicated he's been a U.S. citizen since 2019. They also checked his U.S. passport card, which he keeps in his wallet, before letting him go. Manera, who was born in Mexico and obtained a U.S. passport in 2021, was detained in front of his 5-year-old daughter.
Well, she was shaking when I got in the home, and she's like, "Are you okay? That we're gonna take you? I don't want to lose you." And I'm like, "You're not gonna lose me." Even though I'm a citizen, I'm still afraid because they don't care if you're a citizen or not. And especially because I know I have a really strong accent speaking English. I know I can be a target because that's who are they targeting, just because our appearance and because of our accent.
CNN has contacted the Department of Homeland Security for comment on the incident and to ask if agents are allowed to temporarily detain people on the street with accents.
Why are you asking me for my paperwork?
It's nutty, man. It's out of control. It's out of control. If only there was someone who was calling this out in the month of August in 2024.
Crazy. And Donald Trump is talking about Eisenhower. He's talking about a word I can't say because it's a slur in the aftermath of the Bracero program, where we deported 1.3 million Mexicans from this country, including Mexican Americans, as a matter of fact. Not just people from, not people whose nation of origin is Mexico. We did that. We did that during World War I. We did that in the aftermath of World War II. And Donald Trump's touting that as a popular policy. And it's got like 60% approval right now. And a big part of the reason is because there's no counter messaging against that from the Democratic front. They have completely been captured by the right-wing framing on the matter. And obviously it's very racist, very fascist. I mean, it's just like straight Nazi Germany stuff. No one is thinking about like what 20 million, let's say there's 20 million migrants to this country that are undocumented. How exactly are you going to do the mass deportation? You're going to start going into brown neighborhoods with BORTAC, with the American Gestapo, Special Weapons and Tactics for the Customs and Border Patrol, in what the ACLU calls Constitution-free zones, and you're going to start doing door-knocking operations and cast a dragnet over brown communities, and then put them in CCOT style, like in El Salvador, like mass detention centers, mass deportation facilities. You're going to put them in front of one judge, 200 at a time, because this 20.
I need you guys to remember, this was before the election, okay? This is in 2024, August of 2024, okay? August of 2024, called it down to the location, dude.
20 million people, that's a lot of people, right? You have to make this process as expedient as possible. So now you're putting 200 people at a time in front of a judge that is declaring them to be illegal. Then you have to put them in concentration camps. I mean, that's just straight Nazi Germany stuff. And I don't think anybody's talking about it on those terms, which I find to be abhorrent. I find it to be morally repugnant.
But to have agreement with neither one of the parties is being reasonable here. It's just everyone's getting dragged over to a place that I mean, what is that? How is it that we've arrived there? Like that is not anyone's idea of America in principle.
I know. And Americans are actually not of one mind on this. Immigration historically is one issue where Americans are consistently both very sympathetic to migrants on and also very Hitlerian in the same breath. These are, if you look at focus groups on immigration, you'll be shocked. A person will unironically say, I want mass deportations of all migrants living on U.S. soil. And in the next breath, we'll say something along the lines of, yeah, we should do amnesty actually for everyone that's been here. And it's how can you have these two opinions? That's because the Democratic Party is too scared. They refuse to actually have any sort of counter messaging on this front. And they just capitulate the right-wing framing every single time. They did this with the crime panic too. It's completely born out of hysteria. It's straight Hitlerian on the Republican side. And what's happening in America right now is not dissimilar to the rise of Hitler and Nazi Germany, in the sense that liberals also capitulated to in an effort not to adequately put up a strong fight and align with the communists and align with the trade unionists, align with the socialists against the rise of Nazis and the rise of fascism in Germany. They said, no, this guy is working within the confines of German politics. It's fine. And we all know what happened afterwards. It's called the ratchet effect. The Democrats regularly play the role of almost controlled opposition on a lot of issues, this one being one of them. It's the same with the bipartisan consensus on American foreign policy. This is basically, which I would consider to be fascist in general, but no one really cares about that. And this is fascism inward, like bringing fascism back domestically, having concentration camps for people that don't look like you, that people whose immigration status could be quickly and expediently dealt with and turned into documented U.S. citizens who are already participating in the American economy in incredibly meaningful ways. People who statistically are less likely to do crimes than natural-born U.S. citizens. A fact that Democrats should be saying every single day of the week. They should be putting that front and center. It's just completely made up. This hysteria about migrant crime is completely made up. Crime is down. Crime is down in America across the board. Okay. Crime is down. It readjusted back to like the lowest levels that it was at pre-pandemic, right? And it's only going down further and further. So the idea that like
here's my take from August 2024 on the Dan Le Batard show about the Dems' failure on immigration as they pivoted to the right, what that would look like after a potential Trump victory, and how the ratchet effect works. Because he's still trying to argue with people in the chat, in the replies. Hello, you can literally just type Kamala Harris in his YouTube channel and just find his opinion here. I don't think the accused should have to be the one prove anything if the accuser hasn't even done a modicum of good faith research. This is a video of him saying, I understand the harm reduction argument, but the politician has to earn your vote. Am I missing something? He cites Roe v. Wade overturned as Democrats aren't fixing women's rights. But that would only happen because Hillary didn't win. He's literally describing the Democrats' policy on immigration as the same as the Republicans and displaying a gigantic graphic that says the two-party system is fake. He says, in 2028, Dems will run on mass deportations. The whole video is exactly what my original post was. And he is, I thought maybe this guy was good faith, okay? But right here, it's very clear that he's not good faith. He's just doing the same thing over and over again, okay? What I was talking about there is the Democratic Party running on the Trump campaign's 2020 policies, because that's precisely what they were doing in 2024. That's what they were doing. And that is exactly what the problem is. No, that's a D stand. Whatever, dude. I will duke it out with these people until it like, I assume that there's just bad faith. Okay. But maybe they have fans that aren't bad faith and they've just been deluded into thinking that like I represent this like dangerous threat or whatever. And that I'm not making a serious attempt to try and educate people here. But what's best, here's the thing. These guys are bad faith, but they don't actually command a lot of influence over liberal Democrats in general. Okay? They are speaking to an increasingly smaller minority within the base of support amongst liberals. Wait, from the description of Renee Good's wound, did she have two to the chest, one to the head? Was she blocked with her forearm? I hear he did the Mozambique drill. You can hear the longer pause in a second and gunshot, two pure psycho shit. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Anyway, my point is, I was right down to the goddamn location that they utilized, okay? Here's the thing. What? Okay, good one, chatter. This is what's so frustrating. What is this? Good one. Kill yourself jokes. Ha 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 brain. I love this. Oh, someone's still on welfare. Okay, dude. You guys don't have to deal with every single dumb in the chat that's saying dumb shit like that. I don't want Republicans to win, okay? I don't want Republicans to win. But I also don't want Democrats to turn into Republicans. It's not only bad policy, but it's bad politics in general. Because Democrats turning into Republicans as they try to moderate for this like reasonable voter in the center is an abject failure. And luckily, I don't even have to make this argument that much anymore. Okay? When did you say this? You cooked? August 7th, 2024. What? Dan, let him speak. Fox News would have interrupted him with short, quippy, but rhetorically effective lies, red herrings, and non sequiturs until the American public is... Okay. I said it before the DNC. I said it during the DNC. I said it over and over and over again. Still obsessed with you setting up the basketball core background in this interview? No, I was at the courts. In any case, I had to take any opportunity I could to try and educate liberals that this kind of messaging was bad, okay? This kind of messaging was bad and would lead to a failure. But now that failure has come, and therefore, a lot of people are also aware that this kind of messaging is bad, And they're looking for something different now. They're looking for something more. So I don't even feel, I feel encouraged. I feel like nowadays, at least liberals recognize that the party lost again. Okay. And therefore they're looking for they're looking for an alternative. They're looking for someone who will actually fight, someone who will actually push back against the Republicans doing all this fuck shit. So these liberals are actually speaking to a much smaller audience every single day that they do this kind of stuff. Okay? That's it. Let's continue.
Oh, stop. Jesus.
Hey! Stop kneeing him in the face! That's his face! Stop it!
Bro, I swear to God, Kaya
Well,
is
many
like,
of the headlines.
she is trying to have me roll over her tail. I swear to God. Even AIPAC recognizes this reality for Dems. AIPAC knows that funding ICE politically toxic for Dems, and they're using that as a wedge to avoid talking about their policy goal, which is lockstep support for Israel's Gaza policy. All Dems should take note of how their savvy support for ICE funding can be weaponized. You might think you're being clever with some horse shit about body cams and a new SOP, but if some group wants to, they're just going to pluck the top line number and say you're enabling Trump's fascism. The subtext is that it shows you aren't fighting and can't be trusted to follow through on the kinds of big changes needed to reclaim our democracy. That seems to me to be not worth whatever imaginary gains you think triangulation might deliver. Head pats from WAPO pundits. Kaya is clip farming. I know she is. She's clipbaiting. She's clipbaiting.
Lines have focused on the Twin Cities. Greater Minnesota is feeling the impacts of the immigration crackdown as well.
WCCO's Frankie McClister headed 2 hours west to Wilmer, where arrests have closed restaurants and left a community on edge.
With a diverse population.
Bro, this was one of the more insane stories about ICE that came out yesterday. They go into a Mexican restaurant and then they come back after hours and arrest the people. Like, they should not be allowed to step foot in a single restaurant in any neighborhood. Okay? They should not be. If you're a business owner, you should tell ICE to fuck off, get the fuck out of your property. Okay? You should call the cops to trespass them. Just trespass them every time, anywhere they go. Run them out. Run them out of town. No quarters.
For 21,000.
People refusing to come out the house.
Streets appearing to operate as normal, but businesses not.
And they detained someone just across the street from where I was working,
showing they're either closed or taking orders differently.
I've seen with my two eyes, ICE detaining people.
Video here shows ICE activity in the Candy-Ojai County seat. This restaurant, El Tapatio, closed after WCCO confirmed agents visited the Mexican spot for lunch and came back later, detaining its owners and a dishwasher nearby, after they had closed early due to agents' previous appearance.
A 20-year-old who says his parents own the restaurant that are now detained says on Saturday they will reopen under his leadership.
WCCO reached out to DHS for comment on the matter. A visitor who stopped by to show his support says the liquor store he works at has lost about 3/4 of business since agents have appeared in Operation Metro Surge.
just wanted to make sure everything was okay, and apparently it's not because they're closed now.
And for a man who retired from Genio, one of the town's biggest employers.
What do you want for your community right now? What's the future? What do you think
Wilmer is such together and vote these people out? We're not scared, man.
In Wilmer, Frankie McClister, WCCO News.
Wilmer's mayor urged residents to stay calm and respect.
Why are they coming at this from the perspective of its effect on business? Okay, first of all, it's local news, so obviously they love small businesses. And secondly, it's still up. Even if you're a small business owner and ICE comes in and arrests you, what are you talking about? What the are we talking about, dude? It is completely ridiculous. Come on now. This is anti-ICE commentary. It's anti-ICE commentary from a perspective that actually, people understand and care about.
Respect one another to keep the community safe.
Like, we was trapped. Anyway, I couldn't go forward, pulling off, couldn't go backwards. Like, it was no.
Oh yeah, this is the dad who ICE brutalized his 6-month-old baby. They gassed this neighborhood, and while he was trying to get his 6-month-old baby, they gassed his baby. Excuse me? No, excuse ICE.
Nothing I could have did to get out that situation at the time.
A family was caught in the crossfire between ICE agents and protesters.
Sick fucks, dude.
In North Minneapolis. Reg Chapman sat down with a couple and their 6 children who were trapped inside their vehicle when tear gas exploded underneath.
Sean and Destiny Jackson, their 11 and 7-year-olds, 4-year-old twins and 6-month-old baby boy were on their way home from basketball practice when they were caught between protesters and ICE agents.
They stopped at my car and they proceeded to yell in it and said, get out of here. Well, they used profanity. And my husband screamed and said, we're trying.
The couple stayed calm. They say ICE agents ramped up their demands.
They said it again and we said, we're trying if you guys will move. And of course, you know, like everybody's seeing what happened with Renee, you know what I'm saying? We weren't going to pull off and, you know, while they were right there because that's what we were trying to avoid.
Destiny says the agents walked to the back of their vehicle and released a canister of tear gas under their vehicle.
Within seconds, there was a big boom and our car was up in the air and we slammed down and all of our airbags deployed and all of our doors locked. And tear gas just started forming, a ball of gas just started forming around the car.
She says panic set in.
I managed to feel around and open up I unlocked everybody's door and I hopped out and I just started pulling as many kids as I could out.
Bystanders stepped up. Destiny says she was taken inside a house nearby and total strangers began helping her children out of the smoke-filled vehicle.
Like the last person to get out the car was my infant child. And then when he came in, he was like lifeless, like it was like foam or bubbles coming out of his mouth. I had to give him mouth-to-mouth and CPR. Couldn't even breathe myself. And all I remember is like between every breath I was saying, I'm gonna give you every breath I have until you get yours back.
The couple has been together since their days at North High School. Sean was coached by Minneapolis and Metro Transit police officers, has respect for law enforcement. Now their lives forever changed by ICE agents and a canister of tear gas.
It's like they didn't have no care in the world for us, so.
And the windows was down. You can see my kids in the car. The lights were on in the car.
With photojournalist Tony Peterson, Reg Chapman, WCCO News.
Parents say that the children are traumatized.
Animals, dude. What do you do? What do you do? Why? How do Roach fans defend this one? What do you mean? They don't either cover this kind of shit at all on the Roach side of things, or when they do, they go, yeah, based, okay? Because they were in opposition. Around and find out. Around and find out. And what they're doing in terms of around is just being in the vicinity of these lawless animals, okay? They want more of this stuff to happen because they feel like it'll never happen to them, okay? And until it happens to them, they will not understand what the is going on. They don't have the capacity to feel empathy for other people. This is a major driver of right-wing policy. As Matt Christmas says, the dual sadism of American politics, where it's all about just like harming the other, okay? Harming your enemy, your political enemy.
One more thing on the Insurrection Act, I have like a little bit more of a legal video that's right under this, but I want to talk just a little bit more about like conceptual arguments around some of the rhetoric that we're seeing from liberal politicians and commentators about the Insurrection Act. The first is that this is how some of y'all sound. Don't give him what he wants. Just let him do whatever he wants. Yeah. That's how you sound. What he wants is for you to stand up to him. Do not give him what he wants. Instead, just don't do anything and let him do whatever he wants.
It makes no sense.
Here's the second thing. If you think that we are at a place where the President of the United States will send in the military to help the secret police that is disappearing people off the streets, disappear more people off the streets, if other people who live in that community and don't want people disappeared off the streets intervene. And so you are saying we must accept these people being disappeared off the streets. People in Minneapolis are being disappeared, taken to the federal building and moved out of state within 24 hours so that people can't file habeas petitions on their behalf. That is happening incredibly commonly in Minneapolis. People are being moved back and forth in immigration detention across the country so that their lawyers cannot get in contact with them. We are already living in the world in which you fear.
This is also, this is what Greg Abbott did as well when he was doing when he would take the asylum seekers and just like ship them off to Long Island and stuff.
You are just concerned that the consequences of that world and that style of total lack of due process rights and everything else, that might come for you as well. You are encouraging people to accept a reality where huge swaths of their neighbors have no access to basic human rights out of fear that things might get worse, by which we mean that they might get worse and that they might start impacting you in the way that they're impacting other people. I am sick and tired of people coming onto the internet and encouraging calm and non-confrontational protest and staying at home and not, quote unquote, rising to the bait, when the bait that you were describing is the government disappearing people to work camps. And quote unquote rising is people like blocking their cars. If you think the president will invoke the Insurrection Act for that, and you were like so worried about it and you're not sure if the Supreme Court will allow him to do that, you think there's a pretty good chance that he might. Like,
is she not talking about you? Me? Bitch, what makes you think I'm not saying you should oppose this every step of the way? Some of y'all have nothing up here, okay? Nothing. Nothing at all. When the did I say don't oppose ICE every step of the way? Every single day I'm talking about how you should oppose ICE. Lemau, man, shut your bitch ass up. Take a week off, dude. Jesus Christ. So go out and do it, piece of shit. She's obviously insane. So go out and do it, piece of shit. Bitch, I have been doing it. I've been doing it for a year, as a matter of fact. And I will continue to do it. And when I do it, your roach god turns around and has this moment. Roll the clip. I know one of you has the clip that I'm thinking of here, okay? Come on. Look, ha ha ha, I know, I owned you. Watch the roach god. Here it is. Me doing exactly that. Last year, June 10th, 2025.
You see Hasan? No, I don't see Hasan. I heard he was out there. I don't know. I think that I saw an image of it, and I think he's on like the side of the top. So he's not actually going to go down there and stand in the in this area, because if he did, he'd get in trouble. Right? Like, he has no problem LARPing as a revolutionary, but actually putting it on.
Your chat is so hard for you right now. Yeah, I'm the mad one, brother. It is 1:56 p.m. Pacific time on a Saturday, and you're in the chat hate watching. Which one of us is actually the mad one? Which one of us is the loser right now, you think? Oh my God, I'm from Sweden. Oh, you didn't even have to say that. 40-year-old IT specialist in Sweden. Holy moly. Yeah. I wonder which of the two is a whole ass loser here. The one who is LARPing as an American right-winger from Sweden, or the guy talking about all the instability happening in his own backyard that wants to solve it?
On the line, this is going to be very different, which, to be fair, he was. Well, if he was actually doing that, he should get in trouble. Like, I mean, for sure. He was, though? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd have to go and double check.
Yeah, he should be arrested then. Oh, he's not there. He's not there. He's like too much of a pussy to be there. Oh, he is there? He should be arrested.
It on the line, this is going to be very different, which, to be fair, he was. Well, if he was actually doing that, he should get in trouble. Like, I mean, for sure. He was, though? Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go and double check. He already did? Oh, I'd have to double see and see it. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think all these people should just get arrested. That's really how I see it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how like there's no other solution to it other than that. Aren't they impeding a highway? They are. They're impeding a highway.
Last week, Asmongold Watch, protesters in Iran throw Molotov cocktails at security forces and said, yeah, based. He cares more, seemingly, about a revolution taking place in Iran than he does in his own backyard. When his backyard and his neighbors are being brutalized by the American regime, he thinks not based, okay? The American regime should kill them. There's not a consistent bone in his body. I guess he's Iran first, you know? Because you're all disgusting commies. American, Silver Spoon, wannabe revolutionary. American or not? Barosh Ken TV. If you're not American, you're getting banned. Yes? Are you American or are you European? You're all disgusting insurrectionists. American through and through here because Asmon isn't. Okay, good. You're a different version of a cuck. At least you're not as cucked as a Swedish American LARPer. Okay? You're still cucked. You're still a moron. You don't have a consistent bone in your body either. You're an American in name only. Okay? You're looking at an Israel first, pedophile first administration and defending it down to the hilt because you think it's actually destroying the enemies that you have concocted in your mind. And those enemies are just your parents, your neighbors, people that might have loved you at a certain point until, you know, your brain got too broken for them. So they started separating themselves from you. Okay. This is us versus them being the government. Okay. Us being regular ass people. Have a little bit of decency and maybe a little bit of self-awareness to recognize that this administration doesn't care about you. This administration will inevitably have you in the crosshairs as well, or at least one of the remaining loved ones in your life. Okay? You can keep begging, tread on me, please, every day, but eventually you're going to get over as well. You are already getting over. You're just too stupid to realize it, right? When these guys are getting $150 billion to go and brutalize random American citizens in whichever city or state Trump decides to over on you know, a bad weekend that he's having, okay? That's tax dollars that could have been going back to your infrastructure. That's tax dollars that could have gone back to your healthcare being funded, your schools being funded. But you're too stupid to recognize that. Easy to rage bait. Why the does this chat have such a hate boner for Europeans? We don't have a hate boner for Europeans. There are plenty of Europeans in this chat as well. We have a hate boner for dumb Europeans who LARP as though they're right-wing Americans. I have even less respect for like a Norwegian or a Swedish guy who is hamming up Donald Trump. I have no respect. I have no respect for anybody at this stage, especially that still goes around saying, I love Donald Trump. When Donald Trump has shown that he doesn't have your back at all. Unless you are a pedophilic billionaire financial elite, okay? Donald Trump does not give a shit about you. He's made that very clear. Unless you're the beautiful nation state of Israel, Donald Trump does not give a single shred of a shit about you. He's made that increasingly clear every single day. You're too stupid to realize that if you're an American who voted for Donald Trump, who's still defending him, unfortunately, you're too stupid to realize you're getting. But if you're European, you should at least know better. Because Donald Trump openly says, I'm going to you with my dick. Okay? He says it all the time. So if you come in here and you still try to defend him by going, haha, at least libtards are getting owned. Basically, what you're failing to comprehend here is you're getting anyway. At least, I guess, you know, you're going to enjoy the show. EU cucks not knowing they will experience this in the next 5 years. They are already experiencing it. They're experiencing it in the hands of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is saying European sovereignty is nothing. You're a bunch of vassals. I'm going to take over a piece of the continent. He's saying it right now. He put tariffs on every European country that actually sent soldiers to Greenland in a show of force, in a demonstration to say we do have sovereignty. Donald Trump said, ha, sovereignty my ass. Greenland is mine. Nothing you can do about it. And there are still Eurocucks in the chat going, nope, that's my president. He's not your president. Every single thing that Europeans were afraid of with respect to Russia, with respect to Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump is literally doing right now. And you don't even realize it. It blows my mind. On the one hand, you got Russia doing it from your eastern flank. On the one hand, you got America doing it on your western flank. You're stuck in the middle, getting destroyed. But I guess it's easier to cope and act as though you wanted this to happen than to recognize that you have no more sovereignty and you should be pushing. Europeans hate Trump, what you're talking about. Oh my God. Dude, what happened? Did public education get defunded in Europe? I'm not talking about the European chatters in here that are community members that despise Trump. I'm talking about the European chatters who come in here and LARP like they're American MAGA supporters. Hello? Hello? What happened? I'm talking about European morons who are fans of Asmongold who come in here to go, oh, Asmongold owns you. Oh, Trump is your daddy and my daddy too. Jesus Christ. I thought y'all had some kind of public education and at least like, you know, crippled social safety nets, but some social safety nets. What the happened? Wake up. EU right-wingers are more hardcore than the American ones. I just don't understand. I don't understand how I could just sit here and be like, obviously, if you're European and you hate Trump, then yeah, you shouldn't take any issue with what I'm saying because you know the same dipshits that I'm talking about. You hate the same dipshits that I'm talking about.
Not sleeping, but are physically okay.
This is the soundtrack to life in Minneapolis. Word has spread of ICE immigration agents patrolling this area and a community of activists spring into action.
Get his ass! Get his ass!
This black SUV in front is another car that people suspect of being armed.
An old friend of mine literally nonstop talks about how great Trump is for the U.S. When I try to bring back the convo to what's happening here, he doesn't even know what's going on. EU MAGA doesn't care about the EU. I don't understand it, dude. I don't understand how you have just lost your sight on what's happening in your own backyard while Trump is actively you. I don't get it. I will never understand it. At least with Americans, American MAGA has at least deluded themselves into thinking that Donald Trump has their best interest in mind, right? Like, oh, it's patriotism. Oh, we're dominating the bad guys, not me. I'm not one of the bad guys, even if you're being robbed blind, right? EU and MAGA is literally oxymoronic. I know. And yet there are, like, a majority of Asmongold's fans are from Europe, okay? I need you to understand something. A majority of Asmongold's fans are literally tuning in from Europe, okay? Yes. That's what's so crazy about it. It's like 60% of his audience is European MAGA LARPers. What's really funny about that, though, is that those guys don't realize that Donald Trump is bringing about the Chinese century of prosperity, for the record. I know they've been taught to fear China or socialism, communism, whatever, right? But what they fail to recognize is Donald Trump is actively on Team China. And for the record, I don't have an issue with being on Team China. Like, I don't think we should be going to war with China anyway. But I don't think we should be going to war with anybody. Okay? I don't think we should be going to war with Europe. I don't think we should be going to war with Latin America. I don't think we should be going to war with China. That's my consistent principle on this. I'm anti-war. Okay? I'm pro stopping wars, and I'm pro not going into new wars for no reason. But Donald Trump right here, reporter asked Prime Minister Carney, because we're going to talk about Canada and Canada loving China. And Prime Minister Carney going to Chairman Mark Carney going to China, and what kind of new developments that have taken place in terms of the economic relationship between China and Canada. Okay? Chairman Mark Carney visited China to bring about the global Chinese century of prosperity. Let's take a look. This was Donald Trump's response.
Prime Minister Carney is in China. How do you see the deals Canada and China have just signed, trade deals between the two partners?
Well, that's okay. That's what he should be doing. I mean, it's a good thing for him to sign a trade deal. If you can get a deal with China, you should do that.
The only problem with this framing is it makes me like Trump. I mean, it's true. Law global, more like Chinese local prosperity, global misery. True. I shouldn't have said global Chinese prosperity century. Here's the follow-up tweet.
For the new world order.
Never bet against the mandate of heaven. Is true. It's true. This was like, all right, bet. All right, bet, dude. Don't bet against the mandate of heaven. Mark Carney went to China, and now the Canadian citizens have visa-free travel to China, and they're shipping EV fleets to Canada. This obviously is going to devastate the American automobile manufacturing industry because they cannot outcompete the Chinese manufacturing. That's the reason why we have tariffs against that sort of thing here in the United States of America. And that's part of the reason why Canada has not moved to allow a BYD takeover to take place in the American continent. I'm about to cop a Xiaomi YU7 Unk. The reality of the matter is we cannot outproduce Chinese manufacturing. Okay, we just can't. They have better cars. They're much cheaper, and on top of that, they've hyper focused on building EV fleets. It is impossible. Okay, they're at the peak of renewable energy, and Donald Trump's belligerent trade strategy has literally forced the hands of countries that want to align with America, countries that have been fearful of communism, fearful of China, and have a very Orientalist, xenophobic framework that they operate off of, to go, you know what? Maybe Chinese bitches are bad. Maybe Chinese weed is louder than American weed. You know what I mean? Maybe I will actually deal with them a little bit differently now going forward. Trump did that. Now, do I have an issue with this? No. Right? I don't. Because I'm a consumer at the end of the day. Okay? And from a consumer perspective, it's good that these guys get to have, you know, a litany of alternatives, okay? Specifically renewables. Americans need to get their shit in order and get back into the R&D game when it comes to renewables, when it comes to electric vehicles, instead of moving away from EVs and creating larger and larger gas-guzzling giants and only forcing... No, she's not behind me. It's fine. And only forcing countries by tariff threats to purchase fleets of American vehicles, even if it doesn't actually work with their own internal safety standards. The Trump administration's posture on electric vehicles is that they suck and nobody wants them. But if North Americans are allowed to buy Chinese electric vehicles, all our auto industry will go bankrupt because they're so good. Could it be that we should have been pushing our industry to make affordable EVs this entire time? No, Americans will drive 55,000 Ford F-250s that cost $100 to fill up every week, and they'll like it. Exactly. It blows my mind where we're like, oh, well, they're not doing trade the right way. They're cheating. I love my friends in Canada, but they will live to regret the day they let the Chinese Communist Party flood the market with their EVs.
I love my brothers and sisters to the north. I'm from northern Wisconsin. I'm not going to accuse them of making the smartest decisions all the time. I think they will live to regret the day they partner.
Do you think Chairman Mao blows fat clouds aloud on the down low? Yes, and probably not. They're very anti-weed over there. Very ironic outcome for sphere of influence politics. I know for a fact that Canada would never even dare to entertain leaning into the Chinese direction like this, no matter how sweet of a deal it is for the Canadian consumer, if America wasn't doing the most insane trade policy anyone's ever seen. Another thing that I called during Liberation Day. Yeah, Canadians, when they get high-tech EVs from China that cost $10,000, it won't cost $10,000 in on Canadian soil, obviously. They have to make the prices competitive, so they'll still slap some entry fees onto that and drive up the cost, but... My favorite are right-wing neolibs who, while China is collecting the bag as everyone is gravitating their way, go Israel good, China bad, and warn about Chinese imperialism in Southeast, in SEA? Southeast Asia. I sent this to my friend from China after Trump pissed him off. I got a text from a random number immediately within 5 seconds after. It just said, observed of all observers with a toast emoji. This showed up earlier after the first Euroid chatter.
Well, at least we can protest when our police kill us. Your police kill you? This meme highlights how Western critiques of China fixate on surveillance and censorship while ignoring that the US has far worse material outcomes. In the meme, there are two categories of concerns being expressed. First is the concern over a material outcome. In this case, that would be civilians being killed by police. Then there's the concern over individual expression. In this case, being able to protest. A society's material outcomes refer to the conditions of life for its citizens, such as physical health, affordability, healthcare, housing, physical things that directly touch people. A country's material outcomes affect the citizens' bodies, bank accounts, and lifespans. A police officer...
Only the first 49,000 Chinese EVs per year enjoy the 6% tariff. They also demand that these EVs cannot be sold for under 35K Canadian dollars. The bigger deal is that they will allow Chinese wind power companies to enter the CA market. I mean, look. If we had a normal attitude about human prosperity across the board, we would be taking advantage of the fucking Chinese manufacturing vehicle to focus entirely on renewable energies. Okay? To update and upgrade our infrastructure to bring about a wave of affordable renewable products and focus all of our initiatives in that direction, no matter what America is saying and doing. Okay? That's it. It's better for the future. It's better overall. It's just a good thing. We should be doing it. And I guess Donald Trump's tariff terrorism has forced people's hands into moving in that direction regardless.
And that's why you hear the beeping and the whistles again.
A network of volunteers
Meanwhile, this is what we're up to.
Communicate via a secure messaging platform.
Can I get a plate check on Kilo 77, Florida plate? That one is confirmed. All right.
Modelled on a police dispatch call.
They were both traveling together. The Florida expedition just took a U-turn.
Just right at the lights.
We're riding along with one of them. Within half an hour, we're surrounded by a team of ICE officers. This is our first interaction.
Is there a reason you haven't talked about what's happening to Kurds in Syria? No. It's literally something that I talked about initially when HTS took over. Something that I said was going to inevitably happen when HTS took over, and it's been happening. You're deluded when it comes to EVs unless they're fillable in the same amount of time as a gas station. As easily as to find a gas station, it will never catch on. Sure, brother. I know. It's bad. It's horrible. It needs to be faster. You're right. You're so right. It will never catch on. I mean, it's caught on in China somehow. The only reason why it won't catch on in the United States of America is because we won't fix our grid. We won't upgrade our grid. That's it. There are plenty of places now where it's already completely evolved in the EV direction.
Those officers just approached the car and they said if we in this car continue to impede them, that they'll break the windows.
We're going to take you out of the vehicle, and we're going to forcefully take you out of the vehicle. We're going to take you out of the vehicle. You're on camera, okay?
A while later, they're back again. Still, no laws have been broken.
Yeah, chatter sounds like cars will never catch on. They're not as efficient or as fast as horses are. Also, we don't have the necessary infrastructure for cars to catch on anyway. Horses are obviously better. Carts and buggies are obviously better. That's what you sound like.
3,000 ICE officers have been sent to Minneapolis, some of them with only a couple of months' training. We're driving when we see a woman at a bus stop.
Help.
ICE agents jump out of their car and pursue her down
God, they're so... Jesus Christ, dude. The Heil Titler Brigade. Oh, my Lord.
Middle of a main road.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a warrant for this lady's arrest? Excuse me. Do you have a warrant for this lady's arrest, sir?
So you don't have an ID?
She tells officers she's an American citizen. They ask her to show her ID. When she can't produce one, she's frog-marched to a police vehicle and taken away. The woman was released later that day. Lawsuits accuse ICE of racial profiling. Nearby, in a residential area, ICE officers suddenly stop their car, blocking a main road opposite a community centre.
Sir, have you got quotas that you're trying to meet here? Do you have specific targets in mind, sir?
You can see here just what a powder keg atmosphere is in Minneapolis at the moment. These agents pulled up at an intersection. Local residents furious that they're here.
A short drive away, we're in an industrial area where ICE have been arrested.
They have no shame. I mean, honestly, they kind of do have some shame, or at least fear, right? Because if they had no shame whatsoever, they wouldn't feel the need to mask up.
People.
This is an area
It's either
with a lot
shame
of
or fear. I think it's fear,
and
but
businesses, and we've had reports that ICE are surrounding one of these businesses.
When we arrive, officers have just left. Panicked people fleeing the area.
Luckily, we saw them across the street walking over here. Thankfully, we were able to lock our doors and deny them entrance.
They didn't have warrants then?
No warrants. They're
coming here on the off chance?
Yeah, indiscriminately, you know, just your skin tone, your type of job and everything, that's what they're targeting. But yeah, unfortunately, they did get one person.
They took one of your employees?
Yes. I am a U.S. veteran. I'm a citizen. For once in my life, I'm thinking I'm back in Afghanistan. So really think about that implication. This is not a combat zone. This is America. This is not what I fought for. I don't stand for this.
For some here, it feels like ICE is everywhere. This is a community on high alert and ready to resist. Martha Kellner, Sky News, Minneapolis.
Families impacted by ICE arrests are worried about the safety and well-being of those left behind. Uba Ali shares a story of a 2-year-old living in a safe haven thanks to important paperwork.
Nothing is going to happen to you, okay? I make sure, okay?
Those words are calming for this 2-year-old, but reality is anything but.
Oh, tu mami? Oh, tu mami. Muy pronto le vamos a ver a tu mami, ¿sí?
Scarlett is too young to understand why she hasn't seen her mother in 4 days, her father in 3 weeks, both taken by ICE.
The government is separating families and they don't care about what we feel or what we think.
Jessica has been friends with Scarlett's mom for a very long time, and in a short period of time has become everything Scarlett has left. Because her parents signed this DOPA form, a delegation of parental authority, naming Jessica as the person who would step in if the worst happened.
They asked for the form. If she doesn't have, she will be in a different place. I don't know where.
The form gives Jessica the legal right to take her to the doctor, daycare, or even to school. The ability to make decisions. As federal immigration enforcement has intensified, advocates have pushed for families to be prepared.
We knew this was going to happen. I don't think anybody could have predicted it was going to be this bad.
How often are we seeing children being left alone after federal agents take parents?
Right now, probably daily.
Viviana Salazar has been helping families complete DOPA forms since early last year. She says it's a powerful and proactive measure to take.
We have to make sure that these children know what to do.
For this toddler,
Tú eres muy fuerte, okay?
safety is in Jessica's hands.
Okay, you trust me?
Uba Ali, WCCO News.
We have more information about the nonprofit and the DOPA forms on WCCO.com.
A federal judge ordered the government to fix what it admits was a mistake involving the deportation of a college student, Annie Lopez Bellosa, during the Thanksgiving holiday. The 19-year-old freshman.
On the aesthetic front, they're also doing the cosplay for it too. So it's like we're just one step removed from putting on the fucking swastika, you know? Here is Greg Bovine Bovino.
Jump that photo! Jump that photo! You're all fucking pretend! Coward chicken shit fucks!
Yeah, you might have a hard time seeing Greg Bovine Bovino because he's 5'3", but he's in there. Hasan Reactions, one of the best ones in the React channel.